Bulgari Baciami, a gorgeous vanilla, gardenia, amber type of scent. What is the best dupe for it? Is it Nafais Gharam or is it Kadlaj's Nafais Sharq? This is what we're going to be discussing today, so let's get right into it. So first, let's talk about the original fragrance Baciami, which stands for Kiss Me in Italian. This was launched in 2022 by Jacques Cavalier Bellatrude. He is the same very prestigious perfumer behind most of the Louis Vuitton fragrances. Overall, I would describe this as a milky, creamy, white floral that has a romantic vibe to it along with an addictive quality. And overall, Baciami was very, very well received and has won multiple fragrance awards for its wearability and simplicity and just gorgeous scent profile. So now let's get into the actual dupes. First up, let's talk about Gharam, which allegedly means love or passion in Arabic. Feel to correct me on that if I'm wrong. Gharam is a very pretty fragrance. It opens up creamy, but you still get this fresh burst of fruit, almost tropical fruit, although the fragrance is not at all tropical, but you get pineapple along with tangerine, and then you get the florals in the heart. And in the dry down, they introduce praline, amber, cashmere wood. It is quite lovely. In comparison to the original Baciami, it definitely is not as creamy. And I think it's because of the absence of vanilla. Instead of including vanilla, which is, part of the architectural structure of the original Baciami scent, they instead decided to go and scoop up praline, which is sweeter than vanilla, but it's also drier than vanilla and is not going to give you that same rich milk fat type of vibe that you get with the addition of a milky note. Gharam also totally swaps out the gardenia. Gardenia is a floral that has this almost creamy white floral vibe to it when used in perfumery usually. It actually even has this almost slight coconut cream type of nuance to it. But Gharam replaces that with jasmine and magnolia, which turns it into a fresher, brighter, and soapier take. It still smells similar to Baciami, but there's some differences for sure. Magnolia also tends to be a bit crisper and almost watery so that in combination with the jasmine really reduces, again, the creamy aspect that you get from the original Baciami. So in a nutshell, Gharam is choosing to go in a brighter, fresher, maybe more spring-like vibe as opposed to the creamy, almost dense quality that Baciami possesses. Now let's talk about what Nefais does. Nefais apparently stands for precious East in Arabic. Again, correct me if I'm wrong about that one. And when you look at the note structure of Nefais in comparison to Baciami, and you just smell them directly to one another, it's very clear that Nefais is trying to truly recreate the same skeletal structure of the Baciami scent, but at a more affordable price point. In a nutshell, it's for sure the better dupe. You still get the gardenia, you still get vanilla. In fact, you get more vanilla because you get a bourbon vanilla, which tends to be creamier and almost rum-like in fragrance. And I think that really comes through when you compare Nefais to Baciami. I've always felt that it is a richer, more velvety type of scent profile when I had sampled it in the past. But now wearing them on skin back to back, the extra creaminess of Nefais really shows through. So you get a double dose of vanilla because you have vanilla in the opening, you get the extra creamy bourbon vanilla in the base, but you still keep the classic opening note of gardenia. So it's closer for sure than the Gharam, but it's a richer, creamier, closer version. Now, in terms of projection and longevity on my skin, Gharam for sure last place, which I'm not surprised by because again, they're choosing to go in the almost brighter, fresher style, and brighter, fresher, more citrusy notes tend to not last as long as other types of notes. On my skin, I found Baciami to last a little bit longer, and also maybe project a little bit louder. But it was very close. It was very close with Nefais. Gharam, I don't think was close at all in terms of performance. But Nefais and Baciami, it's one of those you need a camera to figure out who wins the race kind of situation because of how close it is. And because of how close it is, I know that will probably really differ on other people's, skins, just depending on your pH and whatnot. So who knows? But it's a very close overall performance. Again, I get a bit more projection and a bit more longevity with the original Baciami, but I get more richness and creaminess from Nafais Sharq. Which one would I buy again is a tough question for me. Right now, I actually enjoy layering both Baciami and Nefais. I get slightly better performance again with the Baciami, so I like to put that down as my base. And then I top it off with the extra rich creaminess from Nefais. It is gorgeous. I think for most people, they're gonna be perfectly happy with Nefais because you can overspray it if you feel like it's not as strong. And for the price difference, it is an incredibly, incredibly good dupe. I honestly wouldn't really recommend Gharam to anyone unless you said you wanted a fragrance that is trying to mimic the Baciami style slightly, but go in a fresher direction. You do not want it to be extra rich, you do not want it to be extra creamy, and you do not care about a lot of longevity or projection. If that is you, then stick with Gharam. But I think most people will end up finding Nefais to be the better option, in my opinion. Now, if you already have Gharam in your collection, I don't think this is a situation where you're like, oh my God, I gotta throw it out and get Nefais. It's not that deep. Some people will truly like Gharam more, or without comparing them to Nefais or Baciami, you may not even know what you're missing, which might be a good thing. So I don't think it's horrible. I'm just comparing it to the original and the other one on the market. And for me, I don't think it's that good. I personally don't ever grab for it, but it depends on your taste. I'm also really excited because it was recently announced that we're going to be getting a new Bulgari Baciami scent, which should be the first flanker of Baciami. This one is going to be called Baciami and Cora. Cannot wait. I have not seen a full in-depth note breakdown. So far, all I've seen is that it does share a lot of the same similar notes, like the gardenia, the amber, the vanilla, which I'm grateful for that they're not going to do like a, Dolce & Gabbana Devotion versus My Devotion Intense, where they're completely different and don't really have anything in common. Why is it a flanker? I don't know. But we'll see what that one does. That is one that I'm definitely eyeing and will be very interested in scooping up. I would love it if they were to take the inspiration from Nefais and make it even creamier and richer with the bourbon vanilla, but have it have the same strength as the original Baciami. So basically like a beast mode Nafais Sharq. That's what I'm hoping for. It probably won't be that, but we can all dream. So let me know if you have tried Nefais or if you have tried Gharam or both and which one you prefer. And I'll see you guys back tomorrow for our next episode.